Hello there, my name is Devon Carter and I am founder of CarTek Consulting LLC, a cybersecurity consulting firm. Today I want to talk to you about the Internet of Things and how it may impact data privacy moving forward for you, the consumer. So you may have heard a lot going on about the Internet of Things, so let me give a quick definition in my own terms of the Internet of Things. Basically, it is the ability to connect all consumer goods to the Internet. And when I say consumer goods, I mean things like your wristwatch, heart monitors in hospitals, RFIDs in refrigerators and on food so that it can give you an idea of when your food's running low. It can send a signal out to a grocery store and tell them when to deliver food to you. Just everything being connected to the internet. Okay, so with that, obviously when you start connecting so many different things to the internet, you start having to be concerned about privacy. How is the information being protected? How is it being secured? And is any of your personal data being sent out to the wrong people? With all that being said, if you remember maybe a few months ago, you might have saw some rumblings in the news about some legislation that the current administration put in practice. Or I should say they repealed some legislation that gave consumers a lot of the protections that we kind of assumed that we already had. Well, with the repeal of that legislation, that may no longer be the case. So let's talk about it a little bit. So what the current administration did was they removed the requirement for your internet service providers to get permission to share your personal data. Now, what does that mean for you and how does that relate to IoT? It's very simple. Now, any information that is going in and out of your ISP's connection to the internet from your home or wherever you are can now be shared without getting any type of permission from you. Okay, that can be your personal health information. We talked about maybe the Fitbits and everything being connected to the internet. Imagine now your ISP getting a back-end deal with your insurance provider to provide information on how active you are, and then that information can be used to impact your insurance premiums. So as you can see, just in that small example, it can have a tremendous impact on your life, your daily life, and everything you do. One of the big arguments that you may hear from ISPs is saying is the reason why repealing that legislation was so good for everybody, as they like to say, is that it levels the playing field for them to compete with like your search engines, like Google or Bing and others. So today, Google and Bing, as you do your searches, they're able to collect some of your personal data to try to figure out what are your likes and dislikes. Now, you may have noticed when you do searches, you start seeing on the little screen on the right side where other things that you may be interested in start popping up. Well, that's because they are analyzing all the searches that you do, everything that you look and click, and trying to determine what else you may be interested in. Well, the ISPs want the ability to do the same thing. Well, the problem is that it's not a apples to apples comparison. You see, from the search engine side of the house, we as consumers, we can choose whether we use that search engine or not. We also have the ability at some level to decide whether we want certain types of information shared. However, from the ISP standpoint, remember, they are your internet service provider. And if you're anything, or if it's anything like in my locale, you only have one ISP. So there is no way for you to choose to say, all right, I don't want to use this ISP because they're sharing my information. There's only that one that you can go to, which kind of puts you in a situation where you can be forced to share your information whether you want to or not. So with that being said, how IoT and data privacy work together, I would tend to say that the more we get IoT, the less privacy that we'll have. So that is a huge consideration that we want to take into account as we continue to innovate with technology and see all these wonderful things out there. They all will come with a cost, and right now it's looking like that cost may be privacy for your personal information.